The Soul Stone remembers everything. In that orange-tinted void where Thanos sacrificed Gamora, where Clint Barton lost Natasha Romanoff, billions of souls drifted in silent purgatory. They felt no pain, knew no time, just endless, empty existence. But one soul refused to sleep. One soul burned with an ancient fire that predated the stones themselves. Johnny Blaze had been riding his motorcycle through New Mexico when the snap took him. One moment he was wind and asphalt, the next he was dissolution and orange light. But the spirit of vengeance doesn't simply cease to exist. It's older than humanity, a primordial force of judgment that existed when the universe was young. When Thanos unmade half of all life, he didn't account for passengers, entities bonded to human hosts that had their own terrible will. For 5 years, the spirit screamed inside the Soul Stone. It felt every innocent soul trapped there, every child, every hero, every random victim of cosmic genocide. And it judged. Oh, how it judged. The rage built like a furnace, fed by billions of unjust deaths, stoked by the Mad Titan's arrogance, burning hotter than any hellfire Johnny Blaze had ever channeled. Then, on an October afternoon in 2023, Bruce Banner snapped his fingers. The gamma radiation that brought back half the universe created a shockwave across dimensions. Souls rushed back to their bodies like water through a broken dam. But the spirit of vengeance didn't just return, it erupted. Johnny Blaze reformed on that same New Mexico highway, but he wasn't alone. The rider was awake, fully conscious and absolutely furious. His skull ignited immediately. Hellfire consumed flesh in an instant, revealing bone that blazed with supernatural flame. His leather jacket became part of him, fused with demonic energy. The asphalt beneath his feet melted into smoking tar. And his motorcycle, his beautiful bike, materialized from hellfire itself, chains wrapping around the frame, the engine roaring with the screams of the damned. The spirit of vengeance had a message seared into Johnny's consciousness, burned there by 5 years of rage. Someone must answer for this. Ghost Rider mounted his bike and the wheel left trails of fire on the highway. He had a scent now, a trail of guilt and failure that stretched across the country. The Avengers, Earth's so-called mightiest heroes. They'd failed. Half the universe paid the price, and failure demanded judgment. The rider opened the throttle, and hellfire scorched the earth behind him as he rode east toward New York, toward the Avengers compound, toward those who would face the penance stare whether they were ready or not. The Avengers compound sat quiet in upstate New York, though quiet was a lie. Inside, Steve Rogers stood in the hangar bay watching Scott Lang pace frantically, explaining quantum mechanics and time travel like a man possessed by hope. Tony Stark leaned against a workbench, arms crossed, that familiar look of dangerous calculation in his eyes. Bruce Banner listened with the cautious optimism of someone who'd already lost too much. Natasha was gone. Half the universe was gone. And they were discussing a time heist like it was anything other than desperate insanity. None of them heard the motorcycle. Ghost Rider cut his engine a quarter-mile out, letting momentum carry him toward the compound's perimeter. Security sensors detected nothing. Hellfire doesn't register on thermal imaging, and the spirit of vengeance knew how to move unseen when it chose. He walked his bike through shadows, past automated defenses, past cameras that recorded only static when his flaming skull passed their field of view. He could smell them now. Guilt, regret, self-hatred. The stench of failure hung over this place like a shroud. The spirit drank it in, feeding its rage, building its case. These were the protectors of Earth. These broken, defeated souls who'd let a tyrant erase half of existence. But underneath the guilt, something else. Determination. A spark of hope that refused to die. The rider paused, skull tilting, hellfire dimming slightly as Johnny's consciousness surfaced. Wait, they're trying to fix it. The spirit snarled, chains rattling on the motorcycle. They failed. Failure demands punishment. Or redemption, Johnny thought. Let me talk to them first. The internal struggle lasted 3 seconds. Then Ghost Rider dismounted, his bike vanishing into smoke and embers. He walked toward the compound's main entrance, each footstep leaving a scorched print on grass and concrete. His skull blazed bright enough to cast dancing shadows across the building's walls. Inside, an alarm finally triggered. Not heat sensors, magic detection. Something Stephen Strange had installed before the snap, calibrated to sense supernatural entities. Steve Rogers grabbed his shield. Tony's hand went to his chest, fingers twitching for the nanotech housing unit. Bruce tensed, green flickering beneath his skin. Scott Lang yelped and dove behind a table. The doors exploded inward, not from force, but from hellfire that consumed metal and melted hinges. Ghost Rider stood in the threshold, 8 feet of flaming bone and supernatural fury, chains emerging from his jacket like living serpents. Avengers, the voice was layered, Johnny's human tones beneath the spirit's demonic growl. You have failed this world. The guilty must face judgment. Steve raised his shield. We don't want to fight you. Then you will die quickly. The fight lasted 11 seconds. Steve threw his shield. Ghost Rider caught it one-handed, the vibranium ringing like a bell as hellfire wrapped around its edges. He hurled it back with supernatural strength, missing Steve's head by inches, embedding the shield 6 inches into a concrete support pillar. Tony's repulsors fired, twin beams of arc reactor energy that would have vaporized a tank. The blasts struck Ghost Rider's chest and simply stopped, absorbed. Consumed by hellfire that burned hotter, brighter, feeding on the energy like kindling. Oh, that's bad, Tony muttered, backing up. That's very bad. Bruce started to hulk out, green spreading across his skin, muscles bulking. Ghost Rider's skull snapped toward him, and one flaming hand shot forward. Chains erupted from nowhere, wrapping around Bruce's expanding form. Hellfire searing his skin. The Hulk roared in pain and rage, thrashing against restraints that shouldn't have been able to hold him. But these weren't physical chains. They were spiritual, cosmic, ancient. Bruce Banner, Ghost Rider's voice shook the room. Guilty of pride, guilty of creating Ultron, thousands dead in Sokovia, children crushed beneath falling cities. No, Bruce gasped, still fighting the transformation, caught between man and monster. We didn't mean. Intent means nothing to the innocent dead. The rider turned to Tony. Chains shot out, wrapping around the billionaire's torso, lifting him off his feet. Tony's arc reactor flared, nanotech trying to form a suit, but hellfire burned it away before it could manifest. Tony Stark, guilty of arrogance. Your weapons killed millions before you wore the armor. Your creations spawned Ultron. Your failure let Thanos claim the stones. Tony's face twisted in pain, not from the physical pressure, but from something deeper. Memories. The penance stare beginning to take hold, forcing him to relive every death his technology had caused, every civilian casualty, every mistake, every... Stop! The voice wasn't loud, but it cut through everything. Scott Lang stood from behind his overturned table, hands raised, trembling but defiant. You want to talk about guilt? Scott's voice shook. You want to judge them for failing. Where the hell were you? I was trapped in the quantum realm for 5 years. These people, he gestured at the captive Avengers, they kept fighting. They tried everything. Natasha Romanoff gave her life to fix this. So if you want to throw around judgment, spirit of vengeance or whatever you are, maybe start by judging yourself for being too late. Ghost Rider's skull turned toward Scott. The little man flinched but held his ground. Then something impossible happened. The hellfire dimmed, just slightly. Johnny Blaze's consciousness surged forward, wresting control from the spirit. The flaming skull flickered, and for just a moment, human features appeared beneath the flames. Brown eyes, pain-etched face, recognition. He's right, Johnny's voice, purely human now. We weren't here. We were dead, snapped away. The chains vanished. Tony and Bruce dropped, gasping. Steve retrieved his shield, watching warily. Ghost Rider stood there, skull flickering between bone and flesh, between vengeance and reason. You were planning something, time travel. I heard you. Yeah, Tony coughed, rubbing his chest. Time heist. Go back, grab the stones before Thanos, undo the snap. Completely insane, probably impossible, definitely dangerous. The spirit of vengeance considered this. 5 years of rage slowly crystallizing into purpose. Then you'll need a rider who can track souls across time, Johnny said, his skull solidifying again, but the fire burning cooler now. Someone who can sense the stone's corruption. Someone who can make sure the guilty party, the real guilty party, faces judgment. Steve Rogers lowered his shield slightly. You want to help us? I want Thanos, Ghost Rider said simply. And if your plan works, if we can undo what he did, then maybe there's redemption for all of us. The quantum tunnel hummed with energy, its mechanical arms adjusting calibrations, while Tony Stark triple-checked calculations that still seemed impossible. Ghost Rider stood at the edge of the platform, skull tilted as he examined the device with senses beyond human comprehension. This thing rips holes in time. Johnny's voice carried that dual tone quality, human curiosity mixed with demonic awareness. I can feel it, like scars in reality. Yeah, well, scars heal, Tony muttered, not looking up from his tablet. Usually, hopefully. We've got about a 60% chance this doesn't turn us all into quantum paste. 74%, Bruce corrected, adjusting his glasses. I ran the numbers again. Oh, good. 14% less paste. I feel so much better. Steve Rogers approached Ghost Rider, holding a modified quantum suit. We fabricated one for you based on your dimensions, but I'm not sure how it'll interact with... He gestured vaguely at the flaming skull. All of that. Ghost Rider took the suit. The white and red material looked almost comical in his skeletal hands, but when he touched it, something unexpected happened. The suit absorbed some of the hellfire, glowing with faint orange circuitry that pulsed like veins. The spirit of vengeance understood technology on an instinctual level. All tools of humanity, for good or evil, fell within its domain of judgment. It'll work, Johnny said, the suit shrinking and conforming to his frame, integrating with his leather jacket in ways that shouldn't have been possible. The quantum realm doesn't care about physics, neither do I. Rocket Raccoon, who'd been watching from across the hangar, snorted. Great. The fire skeleton is now a quantum fire skeleton. What could go wrong? They gathered on the platform. Steve, Tony, Bruce, Scott, Rocket, Nebula, Clint, Rhodey, and now Ghost Rider. The team that would attempt the impossible. The team that would steal the Infinity Stones from the past and undo Thanos' genocide. Natasha should have been here. The thought crossed everyone's mind simultaneously. Ghost Rider's skull turned toward the group. Before we do this, you should know what I am. The spirit of vengeance exists to punish the guilty. When we travel back, I'll sense every sin, every crime, every injustice. The stones themselves, they're stained with blood, billions of souls. I might not be able to control the spirit when it feels that much corruption. "So you're saying you might try to kill us all in the past?" Clint asked flatly. "I'm saying the past is full of guilty people, and I'm about to meet them at their worst moments." Tony stepped forward, that reckless confidence hiding genuine concern. "Can you control it? The spirit, the rider, whatever?" Johnny's skull flickered, showing human features for just a moment. Tired eyes, a scarred face, the weight of being a vessel for cosmic vengeance. "I've been doing this for years, keeping the spirit focused on those who truly deserve it. But the stones," his voice trailed off, "they're not just powerful, they're fundamentally wrong. Fragments of creation twisted into weapons. The spirit will want to destroy them." "We need them intact," Steve said firmly, "to undo the snap, to bring everyone back." "I know." Ghost Rider's flames dimmed to a low burn. "I'll hold it back, for the greater good." "But Thanos—" The fire blazed bright again. "When we find him, the spirit gets what it wants." "Deal?" Steve extended his hand. After a moment's hesitation, Ghost Rider shook it. The super soldier didn't even flinch at the heat. "Deal. We get the stones, save the universe, and then you can judge the Mad Titan all you want." Tony activated the quantum tunnel. "Okay, team. New York 2012, Asgard 2013, Morag and Vormir 2014. We've got one shot at this. Don't screw it up, and try not to let the Hell Demon eat anyone important." "No promises," Ghost Rider said, but there was something almost like humor in his tone. The tunnel opened, reality splitting into branching paths through time. They locked onto their coordinates, moments in history where the Infinity Stones existed, unguarded or vulnerable, before Thanos claimed them. "See you in a minute," Natasha had said once, before a different mission. They stepped into the quantum realm together. Time shattered around them like glass, and Ghost Rider felt the spirit of vengeance scream with anticipation as they plunged backward through reality, toward 2012 New York, toward the Battle of Manhattan, toward gods and monsters and infinity stones that sang with the pain of their use. The time heist had begun, and for the first time it included a rider who could track guilt across timelines. New York 2012. The Battle of Manhattan raged across Midtown, Chitauri forces pouring through the portal above Stark Tower, while the newly formed Avengers fought street by street. Ghost Rider materialized in an alley off Park Avenue, temporal displacement crackling around him like static electricity. The spirit of vengeance immediately screamed, thousands of souls dying, innocent blood spilling onto concrete, alien invaders slaughtering civilians, and above it all, the Tesseract, the Space Stone, burning like a beacon of cosmic wrongness. The blue cube pulsed with energy that had been weaponized, perverted from its purpose. The spirit wanted to ride straight to Stark Tower and destroy it. Johnny wrestled for control, skull flickering. "Not yet. The plan first." Tony's voice crackled through the quantum comms. "We've got eyes on the scepter. Loki's in custody at Stark Tower. Cap, you're with me. Ghost Rider, stay low until..." A Chitauri chariot screamed overhead, energy weapons firing indiscriminately into a coffee shop. Civilians scattered, screaming. 3 people fell, bleeding. Ghost Rider's chains erupted. He launched himself onto a fire escape, then leaped, chains wrapping around the Chitauri chariot mid-flight. The alien invaders shrieked as hellfire consumed their vehicle. Ghost Rider landed on the chassis, skull blazing, and the penance stare activated automatically. Chitauri had souls, primitive, hive-minded, enslaved, but souls nonetheless. The aliens' screams cut short as they experienced every death they'd caused, every innocent killed, compressed into 3 seconds of perfect agony. The chariot spiraled out of control, and Ghost Rider rode it down, leaping free before impact. The The vehicle exploded against a building in a shower of alien metal and hellfire. "So much for staying low," Rocket's voice chimed through comms. Ghost Rider stalked through the battle-torn street, heading toward Stark Tower. Chitauri soldiers spotted him. This flaming skeleton didn't match their invasion parameters and opened fire. Energy blasts struck his chest, his skull, passing through hellfire without effect. His chains lashed out, each strike wrapping around alien throats, hellfire judgment instantaneous. Then he felt it, a presence that made the spirit pause. Loki, the god of mischief, was in Stark Tower, defeated, bound, surrounded by the past Avengers. But Ghost Rider sensed something else. Layered guilt, centuries of deception, betrayal, murder. The attack on New York, the deaths of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, the manipulation that led to this invasion, and beneath it all, something darker. Thanos' influence, the Mad Titan's shadow touching Loki's mind. Ghost Rider changed direction, chains rattling with anticipation. The spirit of vengeance wanted Loki, wanted to make the trickster god face every consequence of his schemes. But as he approached Stark Tower, another sensation stopped him cold. The Tesseract wasn't alone. Inside the building, Past Tony was arguing with Past Thor about who should carry the case containing the Space Stone. Past Steve was handling Loki's scepter, the Mind Stone, with visible unease. Two Infinity Stones in close proximity, their energies bleeding into reality, staining the air with cosmic corruption, and Ghost Rider could taste it. The stones had been used for violence. The Tesseract had powered Red Skull's weapons in World War II, vaporized thousands. The Mind Stone had enslaved Clint Barton, twisted Loki's ambitions into genocide. The spirit of vengeance didn't just want to destroy the stones. It wanted to judge everyone who'd ever touched them. Johnny fought for control, skull dimming, human consciousness surging. No, we need them to save everyone. They are corruption incarnate, the spirit's voice rumbled. They're tools, Johnny insisted. Neutral. It's how they're used that matters. Through a shattered window, he watched past Loki in restraints, smirking despite defeat. The trickster god's eyes flickered toward the case, holding the Tesseract, calculating, always scheming. Ghost Rider's skull tilted. Something was about to go wrong. He could feel it, a disturbance in causality. A branching timeline moment approaching. Tony's voice crackled urgently through comms. "We've got a problem. Past Hulk just smashed through a door, and Past Tony's having a cardiac episode, and oh no." The Tesseract case flew open. The blue cube skittered across Stark Tower's floor, and Past Loki grabbed it. Past Loki vanished in a flash of blue light, the Tesseract taking him somewhere, somewhen else. The past Avengers stood frozen in shock. Tony's voice through the quantum comms turned frantic. "Okay, that was not supposed to happen. We just created a branch timeline. Cap, we need a new plan." But Ghost Rider wasn't listening to the past. He was watching the future. Nebula stood across the street, partially hidden behind rubble, her cybernetic eye glowing faintly. The modified Lufamoid assassin was part of the team sent to Morag 2014 to retrieve the Power Stone. She should have been light years away, but quantum coordinates could be adjusted. Timelines accessed from different entry points. She was here, in 2012 New York. And something was wrong. The spirit of vengeance sensed it immediately, a dissonance in Nebula's soul, like two signals broadcasting on the same frequency. Her cybernetic implants, Ghost Rider realized, were networked, connected to something beyond this timeline, to someone. Ghost Rider moved before conscious thought, chains shooting across the street, wrapping around Nebula's mechanical arm. She spun, eyes wide with shock, as he dragged her into the alley's shadows. "What are you?" she started. Your implants, Ghost Rider's voice was low, controlled fury. They're transmitting. Nebula's face went pale beneath her purple skin. No, I disabled the network connection. I made sure. You disabled the conscious connection, Ghost Rider said, and now Johnny's human knowledge surfaced, his years of dealing with supernatural possession informing his words. But your cybernetics have automatic protocols, background processes, and they're synced to another you, another Nebula, one still loyal to Thanos, Nebula whispered, horror dawning. My past self. In 2014, if our networks are synced, she can see my memories. She knows about the plan. She knows we're here for the stones. Ghost Rider's skull blazed brighter. Through his supernatural senses, he could feel the data transmission, a thin thread of information bleeding across time and space, feeding directly to 2014, to a Nebula who still served the Mad Titan, to a Thanos who would see everything. We have to tell the others, Nebula said, already moving. No time. Ghost Rider's chains tightened, not restraining her but examining. The transmission is quantum entangled. Cutting it will alert them that we know, but I can corrupt it. Feed false information. How? Nebula demanded. Your hellfire and chains. Not a computer technician. Ghost Rider's skull tilted. The spirit of vengeance judges all things, including data. Lies are sins, Nebula, and I know sin intimately. He placed one flaming hand against her cybernetic implants. Nebula gasped as hellfire, cold, precise, controlled, invaded her neural network. Not destroying. Editing. Ghost Rider moved through her digital memories like a virus of righteousness, finding the transmitted data packets, the synced information. He saw what 2014 Nebula had already learned, the time heist plan, the quantum realm coordinates, the Avengers' desperate gambit to undo the snap. And he saw 2014 Thanos receiving this information, his tactical mind already formulating a response. But Ghost Rider was ancient. He'd judged deceivers for millennia. He knew how to lie in the service of justice. With surgical precision, he corrupted the data stream, changed coordinates, altered timelines, made it look like the Avengers were traveling to 2018, not 2014, made it seem like they'd already failed, already been defeated. Then he severed the connection entirely, burning out the quantum entanglement with a pulse of hellfire. Nebula collapsed, gasping. What? What did you do? Bought us time, Ghost Rider said. Your past self thinks we're broken, defeated. She'll report to Thanos that the threat is minimal. By the time he realizes the deception, we'll have the stones, Nebula finished, understanding dawning. And he'll come for us. Let him. Ghost Rider's voice was pure vengeance. I want him to come. The spirit has been waiting 5 years to judge the Mad Titan. Nebula looked up at the flaming skeleton who'd just saved their entire mission. You're terrifying, you know that? Good, Johnny said, offering her a skeletal hand to stand. Thanos should be terrified too. The quantum realm wasn't a place. It was a probability, a space between spaces where time became negotiable and reality bent to intention. Ghost Rider rode through it on his hellfire motorcycle, the bike manifesting from pure will, leaving trails of flame across impossible dimensions. Behind him, Tony and Steve pursued in their quantum suits, navigating toward 1970 New Jersey and the hidden shield base where the Tesseract had been stored. Ahead, through twisting corridors of quantum possibility, lay 2014, the Garden, Thanos' retirement paradise. Ghost Rider changed trajectory, the spirit of vengeance pulling him toward the biggest sin, the greatest guilt, the ultimate judgment. His comms crackled with objections, Tony shouting about sticking to the plan, Steve ordering him to regroup, but Johnny let the static consume their voices. Some debts couldn't wait. He emerged from quantum space above a verdant planet, his motorcycle landing on scorched earth outside a simple hut. The sky was wrong. 2 suns, alien constellations, a peace that felt like mockery. Inside the hut, Ghost Rider sensed him. Thanos. Alone. The Infinity Stones destroyed. The mad titan living out his days farming, convinced he'd achieved balance. This was 3 weeks after the snap. Before the Avengers' first attempt at revenge, before Thor's axe took the Titan's head. Ghost Rider walked toward the hut, each step burning vegetation to ash. The door was open. Thanos feared nothing. The massive figure sat inside, tending to a crude meal, his armor discarded, the Infinity Gauntlet a scarred, useless relic on his mangled arm. Thanos looked up, saw the flaming skull, and smiled. Ah, the universe sends its judgment at last. You murdered half of all life. Ghost Rider's voice shook the walls. Trillions dead, children erased, families destroyed. You will face the penance stare. Thanos stood, towering even in this humble space. I know what you are, spirit of vengeance, a cosmic entity that forces the guilty to experience their victim's pain. But I wonder. He stepped forward, unafraid. What happens when the guilty has no regret? Ghost Rider's chains erupted, wrapping around Thanos' throat, arms, torso. Hellfire blazed, but the Titan didn't scream, didn't resist. Do it, Thanos said calmly. Show me their suffering. Make me feel every death. I welcome it, because I know with absolute certainty that it was necessary, that balance required sacrifice. That the universe is better for what I did. Ghost Rider pulled Thanos face to face with his flaming skull. The penance stare activated, full force, no restraint. Thanos' eyes went white. He felt them all, every soul the snap had taken. The Wakandan soldiers dissolving to dust, Peter Parker crying, I don't want to go, as he faded in Tony Stark's arms. Families torn apart, children vanishing mid-laugh, billions upon billions of deaths, each one unique, each one precious. The pain should have shattered his mind, should have reduced him to a screaming wreck. Instead, Thanos weathered it. His jaw clenched, his massive frame trembled, but his conviction held. I see them, he gasped. I feel their loss. But I also see the universe, still breathing. Resources, lasting. The survivors, having enough. It was mercy. Ghost Rider's flames burned hotter, fury beyond measure. How could anyone withstand the penance stare? How could guilt this massive not destroy him? Then Johnny understood. The horrifying truth. Thanos genuinely believed he was right. His conviction was so absolute, so unshakable, that even cosmic judgment couldn't break it. The penance stare worked on the guilty who could recognize their guilt, but Thanos saw himself as savior, not murderer. Impossible, the spirit roared. Nothing is impossible, Thanos said, his eyes clearing, when you have the will to do what must be done. Ghost Rider prepared to simply kill him, to burn him to ash, judgment be damned. Then reality shifted. The quantum realm opened behind him, not his entry point, a different one. And through it came a younger Thanos, fully armored, wielding his double-bladed sword, leading the armies of Sanctuary 2, 2014. Thanos. The version Nebula's corrupted data had warned. The version Ghost Rider's deception should have prevented from knowing. Hello, old friend, 2014, Thanos said, looking at his future self. It seems we have a timeline to correct. Ghost Rider released the older Thanos and spun to face the younger version. Two mad titans, separated by years but united in genocidal philosophy. The spirit of vengeance blazed with fury. This was wrong, causality shredding, timelines colliding in ways that shouldn't be possible. Your deception was clever, 2014, Thanos said, studying Ghost Rider with tactical interest. Corrupting Nebula's data stream, feeding me false coordinates. But you underestimated my daughter. She may hate me, but I know her patterns. I know when she's lying, even across time, and I saw through your hellfire. The older, retired Thanos stood slowly, reaching for his discarded armor. I destroyed the stones. The temptation to undo my work would have been too great. Then you were weak, the younger version said coldly. The stones are tools. Power is meaningless if you destroy it rather than wield it correctly. He turned to Ghost Rider. You came here to judge me, to make me pay for balancing the universe, but judgment requires a judge who understands justice. You're merely vengeance wearing righteousness as a mask. Ghost Rider's chains lashed out. 2014, Thanos blocked with his blade, the sword cleaving through supernatural links like they were physical matter. Impossible, except the blade had been forged in the heart of a neutron star, tempered with the same cosmic forces that birthed the Infinity Stones themselves. I've killed gods, Thanos said, advancing. Celestials, cosmic entities that thought themselves beyond mortality. What makes you special, Spirit? I am eternal, Ghost Rider roared, motorcycle manifesting beneath him. He charged, hellfire blazing, chains reforming and striking from every angle. Thanos met him head-on. The sword cleaved through Ghost Rider's shoulder, actually cutting bone, spilling hellfire like blood. The rider's chains wrapped around Thanos' sword arm, burning, constricting. They grappled, demon and titan, supernatural fury against cosmic forged will. The older Thanos joined the fight, his fists still carrying the strength that had beaten the Hulk into submission. He struck Ghost Rider from behind, his gauntlet-scarred arm hammering into the rider's spine. Bone cracked, not mortal injury, but genuine damage. Ghost Rider fought both titans simultaneously, his chains multiplying, his hellfire consuming the garden's vegetation, turning paradise into an inferno. But he was losing. To Thanos, both at full strength, both utterly convinced of their righteousness, were overwhelming even the spirit of vengeance. Then the quantum realm opened again. Steve Rogers emerged first, shield raised, then Tony in the Mark 85 armor, Rocket with his plasma rifle, Nebula, her face twisted with hatred at seeing her fathers, plural. And behind them, the Avengers who'd retrieved their stones, Clint holding the Soul Stone's container, his face haunted. Bruce with the Time Stone, Thor with the Reality Stone, Mjolnir and Stormbreaker both in his grip. You called for backup? Tony quipped, but his voice was tight with tension. 2014, Thanos smiled. Ah, the Avengers. How expected. He raised his hand, and behind him, reality rippled. Sanctuary 2's shadow fell across the garden as the warship emerged from quantum coordinates. Thanos had brought his army through time. You wanted to undo the snap, Thanos said. To resurrect the dead, to restore the universe to its unsustainable chaos. I cannot allow that. This time I won't just remove half the universe. I'll reduce it to atoms and rebuild from scratch. A grateful universe. Ghost Rider pulled himself to his feet, skull blazing despite the cracks in his bone. Then you'll have to go through all of us. Thor's eyes crackled with lightning. I went for the head last time. I'll make sure this time. The armies began to deploy from Sanctuary 2, Chitauri, Outriders, the Black Order assembling for war. And on Earth 2023, the quantum platform activated. The signal had gone out. The Dusted were returning. The final battle was beginning. Not in 2023, not in the Avengers compound's ruins. Here, in the garden, where judgment and vengeance would finally meet the Mad Titan's ambition. Ghost Rider mounted his motorcycle, flames roaring. No more running, No more plans, just the reckoning he deserves. Avengers, Steve said, shield locked on his arm. Assemble. The garden burned. Ghost Rider tore through Chitauri ranks on his hellfire motorcycle, chains decimating entire battalions with each pass. Outriders leaped at him from all sides. He ignited them mid-air, their screams cut short by the penance stare delivered en masse. The spirit of vengeance didn't just fight. It judged every soul that crossed its path, and Thanos' army was composed entirely of killers, slavers, and fanatics. Above, Sanctuary 2's cannons rained destruction. Tony and Rhodey flew evasive patterns, repulsors carving through alien dropships. Thor channeled the Bifrost itself, rainbow light bringing Asgardian warriors from across timelines. Valkyrie, the surviving Einherjar, even Lady Sif pulled from 2013. Steve Rogers led the ground assault, shield ricocheting between targets with mathematical precision. But it wasn't enough. Thanos' forces were limitless, and the Mad Titan himself stood at the center of the battlefield like a purple mountain, his sword cleaving through anyone who approached. Ghost Rider locked eyes with him across the chaos. This was the moment. Everything, the time heist, the quantum realm, the assembled stones, led to this singular purpose: judgment. The rider abandoned his motorcycle mid-leap, chains wrapping around Thanos' sword as he collided with the Titan. They crashed through burning vegetation, trading blows that shook the ground. Thanos' fist connected with Ghost Rider's skull. The flaming bone cracked but didn't shatter. Ghost Rider's chains wrapped around Thanos' throat, hellfire searing purple skin. "You cannot kill me," Thanos growled, tearing at the chains with raw strength. "I am inevitable, and I am vengeance." Ghost Rider pulled Thanos close, activated the penance stare again, but this time different. This time he didn't show Thanos his victim's pain. He showed Thanos the future. The real future. Where the snap didn't bring balance, it brought suffering. Families destroyed, civilizations collapsing into chaos. The survivors haunted by loss, unable to move forward. A universe that didn't thrive in the aftermath but festered in grief. Thanos' conviction wavered, just slightly, just enough. "No," the Titan whispered. "That's not. I saved them." "You saved nothing. You created hell." The moment of doubt was all they needed. Tony descended from above, the Infinity Stones magnetically drawn from their scattered positions across the battlefield. Time, space, reality, power, soul, mind, all six converged toward his armor. The nanotech gauntlet formed around his hand, snapping the stones into place. Gamma radiation flooded Tony's system immediately. The stone's power began burning through human flesh, but he held on, gritting his teeth against agony that dwarfed any injury he'd ever sustained. "Tony, no!" Steve shouted, recognizing what was about to happen. But Tony Stark had made his choice years ago, the moment he flew the nuke through the portal, the moment he built Ultron trying to protect the world, the moment he lost Peter Parker to dust. Ghost Rider released Thanos and turned to Tony. Their eyes met, flaming skull and dying billionaire. "Do it," Johnny's human voice cut through. "End this. Save them all." Tony raised the gauntlet. Thanos realized what was happening, tried to rise, but Ghost Rider's chains held him down, hellfire blazing hotter than ever, the spirit of vengeance itself fueling Tony's will. "I am Iron Man," Tony said. He snapped. White light consumed everything. The Infinity Stones released their power in a wave that rippled across time, space, and reality itself. Ghost Rider felt it, every soul Thanos had erased, suddenly reversing course, pulled back from the void, reconstituted from quantum dissolution. The snap undone, Not just in 2023, but retroactively, causality rewriting itself to heal the wound Thanos had carved into existence. Thanos' army began to crumble, the 2014 version first, his skin flaking to ash, his armor dissolving, his sword clattering to scorched earth as he faded like a bad memory being forgotten. His forces followed, Chitauri and Outriders and the Black Order, all turning to dust. The same fate they'd inflicted on trillions now visited upon them. Poetic justice, the spirit of vengeance approved, the retired Thanos, the one who'd already committed genocide and destroyed the stones, stood watching his younger self disintegrate. He looked at Ghost Rider with something almost like respect. "You win," he said simply. "The universe gets its second chance." "There will be no third," Ghost Rider promised. Thanos nodded. "I know, because you'll be watching." He didn't resist as his own body began to fade, the timeline correcting itself, erasing the branching realities. Tell the Avengers, that I understood at the end, that balance cannot be forced, it must be chosen." Then he was gone. Both versions, the Mad Titan erased from this moment, from this possibility. Ghost Rider turned to find Tony collapsed on the ground, the right side of his body charred black from the stone's energy. Bruce was already there, trying desperately to stabilize him. Pepper had appeared, pulled through the quantum realm with the other returned heroes, and she cradled Tony's head in her lap. "Don't you dare," she whispered. "Don't you dare leave me." Tony's eyes found hers. "Hey, Pep, we won. I had to make sure." His arc reactor flickered. Once, twice. Ghost Rider knelt beside him. The spirit of vengeance, ancient judge of the guilty, looked at this man who'd spent his life trying to atone for his weapons, his arrogance, his mistakes. A man who'd just sacrificed everything to save a universe. Tony Stark, Johnny's voice was gentle, human, filled with understanding. Guilty of pride, guilty of arrogance, guilty of creating weapons that killed thousands. A pause. And guilty of the greatest act of selfless heroism I've witnessed in centuries. Tony managed a weak smile. "So, what's the verdict, Skeletor?" Ghost Rider placed one flaming hand on Tony's chest over the failing arc reactor. Hellfire flowed, not to burn, but to preserve. The spirit of vengeance couldn't heal, couldn't reverse the stone's damage, but it could stabilize, could give Tony minutes instead of seconds. Long enough for Bruce's nanobots to start working, long enough for Wakandan medtech to arrive via portal, long enough for Strange, returned from dust, to weave healing spells, long enough for Tony Stark to survive his snap. "The verdict," Ghost Rider said, "is that some souls earn their redemption." Around them, portals opened across the garden. The resurrected returned, Peter Parker stumbling through and immediately running to Tony. T'Challa, Shuri, the Wakandan army, the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Sorcerers of Kamar-Taj, the armies of Earth and beyond. Half the universe given a second chance, because one man chose to sacrifice everything, and because Ghost Rider chose mercy over vengeance. 3 weeks later, Tony Stark stood on the Avengers compound's rebuilt balcony, his right arm in an advanced cybernetic brace that Shuri and Rocket had designed together. The stone's damage was permanent. He'd never have full use of that side of his body again. But he was alive. The universe was whole, and Peter Parker was currently in the workshop below, pestering him about upgrades to the spider suit. Worth it. Ghost Rider appeared beside him without sound, his flames dimmed to a low burn in the evening light. "You know, the whole appearing from nowhere thing is still creepy," Tony said without looking over. "Occupational hazard." Johnny's human voice. The spirit of vengeance was quiet now, satisfied. Justice served, vengeance earned. balance for the moment restored. "I never thanked you," Tony continued, "for saving my life, for stopping me from making the same mistake, dying for the big gesture." "You earned the chance," Ghost Rider said. "The spirit judged you worthy of redemption. Don't waste it." "Wasn't planning to." Tony finally looked at the flaming skull. "What about you? Stick around? We could use someone who can literally judge if our plans are going to hell." Ghost Rider was silent for a moment, then shook his head. "The galaxy is bigger than Earth, more sins to judge, more guilty to punish. The spirit of vengeance doesn't retire." "Figured." Tony extended his good hand. "If you're ever in the neighborhood and something needs judging, you know where to find us." Ghost Rider shook his hand. "One more thing, Stark. I saw what you did. Using the stones, accepting the cost. The spirit of vengeance witnesses all debts paid." His flames blazed bright. "Your ledger is clear. Whatever guilt you carried, Ultron, the weapons, all of it, you've balanced the scales." Tony's throat tightened. Words he'd needed to hear for a decade. "Thanks, Ryder. That actually means something." Ghost Rider stepped back, his motorcycle manifesting from hellfire. He mounted it, chains rattling. The guilty should fear, the innocent should hope, and heroes, he looked back one last time, should know that redemption is always possible. The engine roared, hellfire blazed, and Ghost Rider vanished into the night, leaving only scorched pavement and the smell of sulfur. Tony watched him go, then pulled out his phone. Pepper answered on the first ring. "Hey, honey." "Yeah, I'm good. The demon just left." "No, seriously. Listen, what would you say to a small wedding? Just close friends, maybe next month? Because I think I'm done waiting for the right time. The right time is now." He could hear her smile through the phone. Across the universe, souls returned to their lives, given impossible second chances. The Avengers had won. The snap was undone. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, Ghost Rider rode toward the next judgment, the next mission, the next soul that needed either punishment or salvation. The spirit of vengeance was eternal, and the guilty would always have reason to fear the sound of chains and the smell of hellfire on the wind. May the Force be with you. More stories await.